How you going, folks? You're very welcome along to this week's episode of John's Garage. This week, we're going to have a short video and we're just going to have a look at what might have been. You can see here I'm surrounded by big Toyota saloons and I absolutely love a big Toyota saloon. It's always been something I've aspired to. It's always something I enjoyed. Maybe I've set my standards very low. Some of you might think that, but you know, this is what gives me thrills. This is what I enjoy. It's the build quality, the reliability, the comfort. And I will also say, it's a Mr. Average car. Everything about them is always average, but when all those averages come together, they're always exceedingly good, and you can be exceedingly indifferent to them as well, okay? Now, what we have here is a project I'm not actually going to go ahead with. So I mentioned previously in one of the Rover 75 videos that I had another car lined up and then the Rover 75 came for free and I felt it was just such a nice gesture, I'd go ahead with that as a project. But anyway, this is the car I had lined up. This is the car I was thinking of going with. I was prepared to go with and ultimately didn't go with when the Rover 75 arrived. So what have we here? We have a 1999 Toyota Camry 2.2 litre 5-speed manual 4-cylinder with 145,000 miles. I think it's one or the other, 135 or 145, something like that. It's grubby, okay? It's grubby. It's been parked up a number of years, since 2014, if I'm correct. It's been parked up since 2014. The usual reason a car like this gets taken off the road, mechanically it's 100%. Bodywork's getting a little bit shabby from being left out in the sun. The only issue with this car is it's a 2.2 litre. That's it. There was no other issue with the car. It was just expensive to tax. It was getting a little bit more difficult to insure. And just the owner just said, oh, here, there's cheaper alternatives out there. And that's what they did. They actually moved to a Volkswagen. And funnily enough, they were always sorry they moved away from Toyota after this particular experience. Now, these Camrys here in Ireland. So I have a number of Irish viewers and I have a number of international viewers. So I'm going to talk to Bodie about the Camry, okay? For our international viewers, the Camry in Ireland was sold as a luxurious executive Toyota, okay? That's obviously what it was. In other markets, this is just family car fare, okay? You would look at this the same way that we look at a Toyota Corolla. It's basic family transport. That's exactly what it is. But in Ireland, this was the executive model that was advertised by Toyota. Previous to this, you had the Cressida, you had the Crown, and so on and so forth. But this was as big as it got in the Toyota range. Now, of course, we have Lexus and all that, and they occupy the premium end of the market. But the Camry has made a return, but it's kind of gone back to more of its roots. It's a family car. Unfortunately, it's just not an SUV, so people just aren't buying it, really. It's got a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder engine. It is quite fuel efficient, but because of that big engine, we seem to have an allergic reaction to anything above 2 litre here in Ireland, and it was the case with this car as well. Now, these were pretty rare when they were sold here, but they were used, generally speaking, by the Gardaí, actually, the police force here in Ireland. They used to use these. They were big, comfortable, good, solid cars, and they sold well to the police force. Other than that, private individuals, they bought some. Not too common though, okay? Even back in the day, this was a pretty rare car. The Avensis just did, and the Carina before, just did everything so well. Now, these were launched here in Ireland in 1997. And the last of them sold around 2002. You might have got one or two registered in 2003, but in 2003, the newer upgraded Camry came along, and that was a 2.4 litre. Again, even bigger saloon. Again, sold well to the police force here, the Gardaí, but didn't generally sell very well outside of those circles. And the reason being, again, was the large engine. It was just incredibly expensive to tax. Now, before this car, there was another Camry model. That particular Camry, I think, the early 90s Camry, I think is the pinnacle of Toyota. I think it's as good as it got. This particular car, it didn't really move the game on. It looked well, it looked nice, but it didn't bring any new technology, any more reliability, anything like that to the market, any more comfort. The model which superseded this, it was a little bit more luxurious, a little bit more modern, but again, I don't think it really brought anything to the market that the previous generation in the early 90s had brought. So with that, it began to fade out into obscurity. Now, this particular one, mechanically, it's fine. It's been driven. It started up, no problem with a bit of fresh fuel, absolutely no issue. Went no problem once we tested it around here on private roads. But other than that, bodywork is just a bit shabby. It's dirty inside. It's been parked up a long time, so please excuse the interior. I haven't had a chance to do anything with the car. But this is the one I'm letting go away. Okay, I'm letting this one away. Somebody else can take on this project, and that somebody's going to arrive here in about half an hour. And with that, they're going to get to enjoy it. As I say, main issue with this is bodywork. It needs a good clean, it needs a respray. Mechanically, it's fine, there's no issues. You'll need to bleed the brakes, need to change all the fluids, all that kind of stuff been left standing, but there's no major project in this. It's pretty straightforward. Interior needs a serious valet, but other than that, it's all there, it's all okay. The only thing missing here is the original radio, and that's it. So I suppose, folks, the question I have at the end of this week's video is, did I let the right car go? Did I adopt the Rover 75? Was that the right move to make? Was letting the Camry go the right move to make? I don't know. I genuinely, I don't know, but I just felt the Rover coming for free was such a nice gesture. I couldn't not do it, okay, is basically the way I looked at it, despite the fact that I've wanted one of these Camrys since I was a child. I remember going and looking at these in the local dealership on the forecourt and thinking, they're a smashing car. But anyway, with that, we'll talk again, folks. Let me know underneath, did I make the right choice or not? Talk again. Bye-bye.